There were times I used to stare at train tracks, thinking primarily of impact, thinking primarily of escapism. You know, those were scary times. My vision was cloudy, my prism fogged up, so only a little light could enter, and any colors that I wanted to show were muted. You know, my blues were black, my violets went gray, and all my roses had wilted away. I was screaming at the bottom of the well for a while. Well, the funny thing was I was actually silent, and to those who know me, that's a pretty rare thing. But I was dead quiet because, you know, I think I've always been selfish. But I never felt more so than on those dangerous days where I wish I had no more days left. I would sit in my room and ask myself, how could I fathom being this deeply burdened by just mere emotions? You know, people out there are sick and dying, and here I am crying? Over what? Like, this shit isn't new. Everyone goes through this sometimes, and then they just get over it. Why can't I just get over it? Why is it so detrimental to me? And you know what? What gives me the right to be breaking down like this? I was convinced I was just lying to myself, holding my mental health, my ego, my insecurities, my instability as paramount. Oh, I must be mounted on the highest of horses, my shadow would say to me. To believe that I am just in having these feelings, and hey, those are just feelings anyways, like, they're not valid. They're not real. Don't deal with them. They're just here to lead me astray. Let me push them aside so I can be on my way. In those times, my mind could not find peace. So a piece of me was stuck, questioning illusion versus reality. Like what do I feel? What's real? What's not? And what are these knots in my stomach and heart? And how do I untie them without unraveling completely? And without an answer, I was left numb for a while. You know, things, they lost their importance to me. I stopped feeling, stopped caring, I stopped listening, and above all else, I stopped creating. Basically, I stopped being me. The best way I can describe it is that the sun stopped being beautiful to me. You know, and not long after, she stopped being beautiful too. I remember hearing two words that shook me down to my core. Those two words were, "You've changed." Now, as a person who craves growth, those are usually the only two words I ever want to hear, but when I wasn't actively doing much of anything, those two words meant that I was changing in the wrong direction. I couldn't breathe. I looked back at myself in the mirror, and I didn't know who I was staring at. I don't ever want to feel like that again. So I started running, and that's not to say that that was the right thing to do, but I started running because I had to do something. So I ran to people and the things that made me feel real, feel loved, feel alive, feel scared, feel happy, feel like crying. And you know what? Not everything worked. But I knew that it would take a lot of work, and so I stopped running and started looking, and I started looking at myself a little harder, and then I worked and felt and began to feel my world shift into focus. You know, over time I figured out that my insecurities are just a bed of quicksand. Anytime I felt stuck, I would frantically try to claw my way out of these situations, and ironically that only causes me to sink faster. You know, I know that that is draining. But these faucets for eyes only realize the error in my ways minutes too late with these trials and tribulations. I want to use this river inside to deliver me, but tide is high and rising, and it floods sometimes. Regardless of that feeling, I refuse to ever accept drowning, so I guess that makes me either an oar or an oath to floating. Treading furiously against the current, I will continue to wash myself of these inconsiderate inconsistencies and sail on, because you know what? I'm looking for something much greater. I'm looking for my buried treasure, and this map I have might have some validity to it. You know, it details the winds of change being tumultuous and chilling, but that the destination is well worth the journey, so I do not stray from this path. No, I stick to it because, you know, over time, it ended up working, and I began to feel my life piece back together. I found my breath in some dancing. I found my pulse through some music. I found my voice through some poetry, and then I started to find some love in myself. You know, I can honestly say that I'm happy with who I'm becoming, all the highs and the lows. I can comfortably say that I cry at least once a week, if not more. But that I grow from it every single time. I found some love in myself. I've got these decent shoulders to lean on, but it turns out they're even better to sleep on. I found some love in myself. I'm white and I can dance. And you know what? That's a major accomplishment. These eyes can tell you everything you need to know about me. I learned that skill from my mom, my ex, and my next love. And and I found some love in myself. I know that my ambition can only ever be eclipsed by my capability for compassion. I can feel fate, and sometimes even see the signs. I found some love in myself. I know that this imperfect smile can make just the right person feel amazing, feel electric, feel weightless. Fuck, it can make the right person feel just about anything. And now when I stare at train tracks, all I can think about is where life is gonna take me next. I found some love in myself. And something that I truly love about myself is that I can tell a joke at any given moment. So here's one. 3 tomatoes are walking down the road. A mommy tomato, a daddy tomato, and a baby tomato. The mommy and daddy are walking along and notice that the baby is lagging behind. The daddy rolls his eyes, takes a deep sigh, takes 3 steps towards the baby. 1, 2, 3, and then ketchup! Ketchup, tomato. I never said it was a good joke. I really didn't. But funnily enough, that joke scared me straight into never wanting to fall behind, and presently I think I'm doing an alright job. You know, I used to have these badges of honor in the form of bruised rings on my forearms, and they made more full moons on me than I can count. I chose to wear them as armor in times of peril. I chose to wear them as a repellent against loneliness. You know, I accepted where I was at the time. But now I think I don't need that. I just really like it. I don't want to be dependent on people anymore, but I accept the help that I receive from others regardless. You know, I accept my selfishness. I accept my selfishness as marble because I will chip away at it restlessly until something beautiful comes. I will dig through this dirt and unearth my true self, the brand new, less blue kid who believes in his own wealth. And I felt the time grow long, those days we spent savoring every moment, singing along to Amy Winehouse songs. Why don't you come on over and stop making a fool out of me? This poetry is not luxury, but it sure can be taxing. It's a burden I have to bear, and so I bear soul like no shoes on. I walk with purpose. I recite these verses to be shared and rehearsed. It's a gift and a curse, but you know what? Allow me to be author. I would never let anyone else tell my story. And I'd never let a misunderstanding stand above me. Instead, I am bridge building, traversing these islands, learning to be silent when I take in the little things. Like the light that bellows in from these shaky windows. You know, this train can only move in one direction. I used to anticipate that initiation, but then cold air caused condensation on the back of my hands I once knew so well. But you know what? It's welcome. I know that I don't know everything. There's still so much more to learn. And I've learned that I don't ever have to feel alone anymore. I've got all that within me. It resides inside me. I manifest this. I don't have to feel alone. I have found a new form of energy. I feel it every time I stare into one of my many affinities, like the moon, the mountains, or her left eye. And with refracted compass, I'm aiming for growth and glory. You know, they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But I saw 2 birds in that bush and I exclaimed, amazing. And then I saw myself in that mirror and I found something worth saving. Thank you.